Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on November 13th, 2012, picking up right where we left off in the last episode. And what we are doing here is we are getting our WeWikiPaint application set up so that we can draw lines on our Raphael canvas. So we're going to have a drawing area on our page. We're going to draw lines on that. And what we want to do is we want to be able to demonstrate that that drawing works correctly. So we're currently trying to get this line drawn in a test-driven way. And we have successfully got it set up so that we can tell that a line has been drawn, but we don't yet have the ability to see what if the correct line was drawn. So right now we're saying draw a line from XY 2030 to 3300, and we do draw a line, but we're just drawing it from 1, 1 to 2, 2. So that code is incorrect. We want to write our test that forces, we want our test to make sure that code is right, and then we'll fix it. And the production code here is not that complicated. The real challenge is figuring out how to test this stuff. So as I mentioned in the last episode, one way to do this would be to mock out Raphael, but that wouldn't allow us to check that things work correctly cross-platform. So I actually want to go into the DOM and make sure we have the right thing. So we have these elements here. What I want to do now is see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Chrome debugger and just see what's in there. So we'll run our test. Get our test code, set a breakpoint. Run our test again. Hits the breakpoint. Great. Now we can actually inspect that variable and see what we can see. So let's look at that. So it's got an element in it. I think this is actually our DOM element. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna investigate this a little bit more without wasting your time on it and be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I've looked into this and it looks like what I want is attributes. So the node, the element node, the attributes for that node, the D, and the value right there. That looks like the path. Now, there may be a better way of doing this, but that's what I see right now. So let's go ahead and pull that out. So our element is going to be the first one. We've already said that we only expect there to be one of these. And our path is going to be element.node.attributes.d.value. Let's just dump that path and see what that looks like. Now that should be a string, so I don't expect it to have the same problems that others do. Okay, so Mac, Safari dumped it, Firefox dumped it, IE8 failed, IE9 gave us a really weird answer. iOS Safari worked though. Okay. Again, there may be a better way of doing this, but this is looking the most promising right now. Let's start out by just saying expect path to equal M20 30 to L30, 300. So that's going to work for some of our browsers, but not all, except that we don't have the right code. So it says M1, 1, L2, 2. Let's go ahead and fix that. By the way, if you're concerned that this doesn't work across browsers, we're going to abstract this out into a helper method. So it's going to get better. So, but first let's just make this work properly. Our path is m plus start x plus comma plus start y plus L plus end x plus comma plus end y. And I believe that will work. Yeah, good. So now everything except for Windows IE8 and IE9 is working. Good. Okay. And just for fun, there's in addition to value, there's also a text, I believe. So let's try dumping that out. It doesn't even exist. I must have done it wrong. No, it doesn't exist. Oh, it's text content. Yeah, same thing. Not helpful. All right. Okay, but we do have tested the Raphael path on everything except IE. Okay, so now let's get this working on IE. So there's two pieces to this. One is it looks like IE8, because it's using VML, probably has something else entirely going on. So we'll have to look into that. And then IE9 has a different path description. I don't know if that's just because they're doing things special or what, but so we'll need to evaluate that. So let's do this. Let's say, let's convert let's write a function that gets the path out. So we'll create a little function called, let's say, path, or maybe even path4. So path for element, that reads nicely. And I like my more specific functions at the bottom. So that's going to work for most of them. But we also need this to say, okay, so if path has a comma in it, so if that's not -1, if it has a comma in it, then we're in Firefox, Safari, Chrome, which uses the format M20L30 L330, 300. So we'll just return that path directly. Otherwise, we'll assume that we're in IE9, which uses the format M2030 L3300. Yes, that's the format it uses. And what I want to do here is I want to normalize that. So one way to do that would be with a regex. Let's see. So we've got M space and then some number of digits space some number of digits space L space some number of digits some number of digits. Now this is not generic. This will only work for this specific type of path we're creating, but that's okay. So that's the IE9 path. And let's go ahead and pull that out. We'll IE9 path dot match. Is it test? Let's try it the other way around. So we've got path dot match IE9. And then we should just be able to dump. Let's stop here and see how that's working. So this should, for everything except IE9, it should continue as it has, but on IE9 it should dump out saying, this is IE9. Let's see how that works. And it would help if we, okay. That's good. And I'm going to take a moment to refresh my memory on regexes, JavaScript regexes. Be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. It looks like I'm using it correctly. I just need to make sure I put the right variable here. And then yeah, now we've got that all coming out properly. So that means that we should be able to return im plus IE9 1 plus comma plus IE9 2 plus L plus IE9 3 plus comma plus IE9 4 and have this work on IE9. Yes, it does. Now this is a bit fragile. This is definitely not perfect, but this sort of complication seems to come up fairly frequently in the DOM, where you do have to just sort of, in your tests, or adjust for the different ways different browsers behave. And then, of course, in your production code, you often have to do the same thing too, preferably through rather than looking at the user agent, preferably by looking at the capabilities of the browser. But either way, you're going to have to adjust for the specific browser you're working on. Now, if these browsers change their format in the future, then these tests will break. The goal here is not to prevent them from ever breaking, but simply to put the breaking code in one spot so we can come and fix it when the browsers do change. So, all right, so we've got this all working except for IE8. And I'm going to presume that the reason it doesn't work on IE8 is because IE8 is using VML and has a completely different DOM structure. Let's go ahead and check this in. So we got Raphael path test working on IE9. And now the next thing to do is to get it working on IE8. That's what we'll work on next time, is get Raphael path testing working on IE8. So again, to provide some context, what we're doing here is getting the ability to draw a line in a test-driven way and have that work cross-platform. And this is the reason I like this example is because it's really showing the cross-platform issues. IE9 worked differently from IE8, worked differently from Safari. We're seeing it more in our tests than in our production code, but I'm sure we'll start seeing stuff in our production code as well. So that's it for this time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will catch you next time.